The Hague-based court ruled that the former militia leader failed to exercise control over his private army, the Congolese Liberation Movement, sent into the CAR in October 2002 to quell a coup. Under his control, they carried out what were described as sadistic rapes, murders and pillaging of particular cruelty.
The vast geographical and temporal scope of the underlying acts of rape and the extent of damage caused, the Chamber finds that, in this case, the crime of rape is of utmost serious gravity.
In light of his conviction, Bemba was found guilty beyond reasonable doubt of 2 counts of crimes against humanity and 3 counts of war crimes. Prosecutors at the ICC had called for a minimum 25-year jail term in the landmark case, the first to focus on rape as a weapon of war by the ICC. Bemba's case is also the first at the ICC to focus on a military commander's responsibility for abuses by his troops, even if he did not order them. Hours before the sentencing, Bemba's defense team had given notice late Monday that he would appeal his conviction. The team also argued that Bemba, who has already spent 8 years in detention since his 2008 arrest in Brussels, should be released. If the sentencing decision becomes final, Bemba will not remain in the ICC detention center. The ICC presidency shall designate a state of enforcement from a list of states that have indicated their willingness to accept the sentenced person. Maria Galang, CCTV.
Right, let's get you more on that story now. And CCTV's Jack Parrock is joining us live from Brussels. Jack, Jean-Pierre Bemba's sentencing is largely based on his failure to exercise control over his private army sent into the Central African Republic. What more do you know about this? What can you tell us? And does it mean commanders are culpable if their troops commit atrocities?
Well, this case is particularly interesting because there's no evidence to say that Jean-Pierre Bemba commanded his troops to conduct the rapes, pillagings and murders that he is being convicted of and now sentenced to 18 years in detention. But the point in this, and the reason that the ICC is so keen to get the cases like this under their wing, essentially, is that the structures of international criminal justice believe that if you are in control and you know about what your troops are doing, then you have criminal responsibility for their actions. His conviction proved that, and now his sentencing has also gone to enforce that opinion, that military or militia commanders that allow their troops to conduct crimes against humanity, war crimes, genocides, etc., can be tried at the International Criminal Court, even if the proof is there that even if there is no proof that they didn't actually order those crimes to be committed.
Well, Jean-Pierre Bemba is a former vice president, and he is the highest level official to be sentenced by the International Criminal Court. What does this sentencing mean, though, for the confidence levels in the court itself? And is it likely to trigger another backlash from African countries, as we've seen before?
Well, indeed. So in the wake of the Kenya trials against Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta and the Deputy President William Ruto, they've now been dropped, but there was a huge amount of pressure from African Union countries led by Kenya for a mass withdrawal of the signatures to the Rome Statute, which is the legislation which underpins the International Criminal Court. For the prosecutor, for the ICC as an institution, another conviction with a sentencing, a big sentencing as well, is a success for them. They say that it is, they will say that it is a further step on their fight against impunity. It's important to note in this regard that the Jean-Pierre Bemba case wasn't started by the prosecutor. She didn't launch, the prosecutor of the ICC didn't launch an investigation into this case. In fact, the Central African Republic referred the case themselves to the International Criminal Court, which gives the ICC more standing in saying why they've pursued this case and more prowess to say that they have taken what a member state of the International Criminal Court wanted them to do all the way to the end into sentencing. The flames of the fire between the ICC and the African continent will continue to burn, but I think with the Kenya cases dropped and now with this case being taken to the end, perhaps some of the discussion about it might ease off a little bit.
Right, Jack Parrock for us there in Brussels. Thank you.